Your friends don't want you to succeed. Not fully. Not completely. Not in the way you imagine when you picture success in your head. They want you to win, but only in a way that keeps them comfortable. Only in a way that doesn't force them to question themselves. Only in a way that doesn't expose their own inaction. Because your growth is not just your growth. It is a spotlight, and most people are not ready to stand in that light. So they dim you. Quietly, casually, consistently. You think your biggest enemy is laziness, or lack of discipline, or distraction. But sometimes, your biggest enemy is the room you keep returning to. Watch closely the moment you start changing. Not talking, actually changing. Waking up earlier, working when no one is watching. Saying no, thinking deeper, moving differently. The energy shifts. Instantly, the jokes start. Bro thinks he's different now. Don't become one of those guys. You've changed. It sounds harmless. It sounds like banter. It sounds like nothing. But it is something. It is pressure. Social pressure. The most powerful kind. Because it doesn't attack you directly. It surrounds you. It makes you doubt. It makes you pause. It makes you ask yourself, am I doing too much? Am I becoming someone they won't like? Am I losing them? And that question right there, that fear, is the leash. Because now, you are not just trying to grow. You are trying to grow without making them uncomfortable. And that is impossible. Real growth is disruptive. It breaks patterns. It breaks expectations. It breaks identities, including the identity they have of you. To them, you are not just a person. You are a role. The funny one, the chill one, the average one, the predictable one. And the moment you step outside that role, you create tension. Because now, they don't know how to place you. And people hate uncertainty. So they try to fix it. Not aggressively, not obviously, subtly. They remind you of who you were. They joke about your past. They pull you into old habits. They recreate old environments. Remember when you used to. Bro, you were better back then. Don't go too far. And slowly, without realizing, you start adjusting. You laugh it off. You tone it down. You delay your progress. You shrink your ambition. Not because you don't believe in it, but because you don't want to lose them. And that's the trap. You think you are choosing connection, but you are trading evolution for comfort. You are negotiating your future for temporary belonging. And the worst part, you don't even notice when it starts. It feels normal. It feels natural. It feels like loyalty. But it's not loyalty. It's limitation. Because loyalty should support your growth, not suffocate it. But most social circles are not built for growth. They are built for stability, for sameness, for predictability, for comfort, and anything that threatens that gets corrected, not by rules, but by reactions, silence, jokes, distance, subtle disapproval, until you feel it, without anyone saying it. Stay where you are, and if you don't, you risk something deeper than failure. You risk isolation. And that is why most people never break out. Not because they can't, because they don't want to be alone. But here's the truth you've been avoiding. If your environment requires you to stay small, to stay accepted, then it's not a support system. It's a cage, an invisible one, built slowly, reinforced daily, maintained by everyone inside it, including you. And the scariest part, it feels like home, which is exactly why you never question it. Until now. Because once you see it, you can't go back to not seeing it. You can't unfeel that tension. You can't ignore that resistance. You can't pretend everything is fine. Now you're aware. And awareness is dangerous. Because awareness demands a decision. Stay or evolve. And evolution will cost you, but staying will cost you more. This is not about blaming your friends. This is about understanding the system, the architecture, the invisible design that keeps people average. And if you don't break it, you will become it. The blueprint of the invisible cage. No one built this cage in a day. No blueprint on paper. No meeting. No agreement. And yet, it exists. You can feel it. In the silence after you share a real goal. In the jokes that follow your ambition. In the way conversations drift back to comfort. This is not random. This is structure. Every social circle has a hidden objective. Not growth. Not excellence. Stability. Stability keeps everything predictable. It keeps identities intact. It keeps the group calm. Because when everyone stays the same, no one has to question anything. No one has to ask, am I doing enough? Am I wasting time? Could I be more? Stability protects people from themselves. But the moment one person starts evolving, that stability cracks. And cracks create tension. You feel it instantly. You start doing things differently, thinking differently, moving differently. And suddenly, you don't fit the same way. Not because you're wrong, because you're changing the equation. Now the group has two choices. Evolve with you, or stabilize you. Most people choose the second. Not consciously, automatically, because evolving requires effort, discipline, self-confrontation. Stabilizing you requires nothing, so they pull you back. Not aggressively, subtly. You say you're working on something serious. They laugh. Let's see how long that lasts. You change your habits. They react. You're overdoing it. You start thinking bigger. They label it. Don't become one of those guys. These are not just words. These are corrections, small adjustments, to bring you back into alignment. Because the group has an invisible baseline, a level everyone operates at. And when you rise above it, you create imbalance. And imbalance makes people uncomfortable. So they reduce you. Not directly, through energy, through tone, through subtle resistance, until you feel it. And once you feel it, you adjust yourself. That's the real mechanism. You don't get forced back. You walk back. You start editing your behavior. You downplay your ambition. You hide your progress. You soften your intensity. Not because you don't believe in it, because you don't want to disturb the group. This is where the cage becomes internal. It's no longer them controlling you. It's you controlling yourself to maintain acceptance. And once that happens, you are no longer growing freely. You are negotiating every move. Will this make me seem different? Will this create distance? Will they still relate to me? And slowly, you shrink, not in ability, in expression, in courage, in direction. This is what people call crab mentality. One tries to climb out. The others pull it back. Not out of hate, out of shared limitation. Because if one escapes, it proves something dangerous. Escape was possible, and that thought is uncomfortable. So instead of facing it, they neutralize it. They normalize staying. They make growth look extreme. They make discipline look obsessive. They make ambition look arrogant. And now, you hesitate, not because you can't grow, because growth has a social cost, and you feel that cost every time you try to level up. That tension inside you, that friction, that's not laziness. That's the cage resisting, because your identity is not entirely yours. It's shaped by expectations, by reactions, by the need to belong. You are not just becoming who you want to be. You are maintaining who they expect you to be. And that creates conflict, a quiet war inside you, between comfort and evolution, between acceptance and expansion. And most people choose comfort, not because it's better, because it's easier. But understand this clearly. Every group has a ceiling, an invisible limit on how far you can go before you stop fitting in. And when you reach that ceiling, pressure increases, not loudly, silently, consistently, until you either step back down or break through. And breaking through comes with a cost, because this cage doesn't just hold you, it connects you to memories, to belonging, to identity, which means escaping it feels like loss. And that's why you stay, not because you're weak, because you're attached. But if you're honest, you've felt it, that subtle resistance, that quiet pull backward, that invisible force keeping you in place. That's not in your head. That's structure. That's design. That's the blueprint. And now that you see it, you can't pretend it's not there. Nostalgia as a weapon of suppression. It never attacks your future directly. It pulls you back through your past. Remember when you used to be fun. Remember when you didn't care this much. Remember when things were simple. Sounds warm, familiar, safe, but listen carefully. There's a message hidden inside it. Go back, not forward, not evolving. Back. Nostalgia feels like connection, but it often functions like control. Because the past is predictable, they know that version of you. They understand it. They are comfortable with it. The new version, uncertain, unfamiliar, uncontrollable. So they reach for history. Not to celebrate it, to anchor you to it. You start remembering who you were. The lazy version, the carefree version, the version without pressure. And suddenly, growth feels like betrayal. You think, maybe I am overdoing it. Maybe I've changed too much. Maybe I should just relax. And that thought, that doubt, is the leash tightening. Because now, you are emotionally tied to a version of yourself that no longer serves you. And here's the dangerous part. You feel guilty for evolving, guilty for outgrowing habits, guilty for changing your mindset, guilty for wanting more, as if growth is disrespect, as if discipline is arrogance, as if becoming better means becoming distant. So you compensate. You slip back into old behaviors. You laugh at things you've outgrown. You engage in conversations that drain you. You lower your standards just to prove you're still the same, but you're not. And forcing yourself to be creates internal conflict. You start living two lives, one version chasing growth, the other trying to maintain familiarity. And that tension exhausts you. Because you are constantly switching, adapting, editing yourself, depending on who you're around. That's not authenticity. That's survival. And survival mode kills evolution. Now look deeper. Why does nostalgia work so well? Because it's emotional. It doesn't argue with logic. It bypasses it. It makes you feel something. Warmth, belonging, connection. And when you feel that, you lower your guard. You stop questioning. You stop resisting. And you go back. Not physically, mentally, behaviorally, identity-wise. You shrink into familiarity. Because familiarity feels safe. But safe is exactly what's keeping you stuck. And here's the truth most people avoid. Loyalty to your past self is self-sabotage. Because that version of you was built for a different stage. Different goals, different awareness, different mindset. Holding onto it means rejecting who you're becoming. And every time you choose the past, you delay your future. But the group reinforces it constantly. Bro, you've changed. You're not the same anymore. And instead of taking that as growth, you take it as criticism. You start defending yourself, trying to prove you're still relatable. Still the same person, still part of the group, and in doing so, you dilute your evolution. You slow it down. You compromise it, all to maintain a connection that only exists if you stay the same. That's not connection. That's conditional acceptance. And conditional acceptance always comes at a cost. Your identity, your direction, your potential. So ask yourself honestly, are they remembering you, or are they restricting you? Because there's a difference. One celebrates growth, the other resists it. And once you see that difference, nostalgia loses its power. It stops pulling you back, because you realize you don't belong to your past. You're building something beyond it. And that requires letting go, not emotionally, mentally, behaviorally, completely, because you cannot evolve while staying loyal to a version of yourself that was built to stay small. The silent contracts of mediocrity. No one says it out loud. No signatures. No rules written anywhere. But the contract exists. You feel it. Every time you hold back a win. Every time you shrink your ambition. Every time you laugh at something that isn't funny. You signed it without realizing the moment you chose belonging over truth. Every social circle runs on silent agreements. Unspoken, unquestioned, unchallenged. Don't try too hard. Don't outshine the group. Don't make things uncomfortable. You never agreed verbally, but you follow it daily. You censor yourself. You edit your thoughts. You dilute your ambition. Because breaking the contract comes with consequences, not punishment, but distance. The energy changes. The vibe shifts. The connection weakens. And you feel it instantly. That's how the system controls you. Not through authority, through belonging. Because humans will tolerate almost anything to avoid feeling excluded. So you adapt. You become relatable again. You tone it down. You stop pushing too hard. You slow yourself. Not because you can't go faster, because going faster makes others uncomfortable. And here's the dangerous part. You start paying a price, a hidden cost, the relatability tax. Every time you achieve something, you minimize it. Yeah, it was nothing. Just got lucky. Anyone could do it. You downplay your wins to protect other people's comfort. And slowly, you disconnect from your own progress. You stop celebrating. You stop acknowledging growth. You stop owning your results. Because owning them creates tension. So you pretend they don't matter. And over time, your ambition weakens. Not because you lost it, because you suppressed it to maintain approval. Now look at the microaggressions. Not obvious attacks, small comments, jokes. Bro thinks he's rich now. Look at this guy working so hard. Relax. Life isn't that serious. They laugh. You laugh. But something registers. A signal. Stay in line. So next time, you hesitate before sharing progress, before speaking ambition, before being fully yourself. That hesitation is the contract working, because now you are self-regulating. You don't need them to pull you back. You pull yourself back to stay accepted. And once that happens, you are no longer free. You are operating within limits, invisible but real. You move, but only within boundaries. You grow, but only to a certain level. You express, but only what feels safe. And that's how mediocrity sustains itself. Not through force, through agreement, a collective agreement, to not go too far. Because if one person breaks the pattern, it disrupts everything. It raises the standard. It creates pressure. And most people don't want that pressure. So they enforce the contract, subtly, consistently, until everyone stabilizes at the same level. Average, comfortable, predictable. Now here's the truth. You cannot break this contract halfway. You either follow it, or you violate it. And violating it will change your relationships, because people will notice. They will feel the shift. You stop laughing at certain jokes. You stop engaging in certain conversations. You stop shrinking yourself. And that creates friction, because now you are no longer aligning. You are separating. And separation feels like loss. But it's not. It's clarity. Because the moment you stop paying the relatability tax, you reclaim your identity. You stop negotiating your growth. You stop seeking permission. You stop asking, will this make them uncomfortable? And start asking, is this aligned with who I'm becoming? That shift breaks the contract completely. And once it's broken, you can't go back to playing small, even if you try. Because now you see the system. You see the limits. You see the cost. and you realize staying comfortable was never free. Calculated isolation and necessary friction. This is where it gets real, because everything until now was awareness. This is action. You've seen the cage. You've felt the pressure. You've noticed the contracts. Now comes the part most people avoid. Distant, not dramatic, not loud, controlled, intentional, because you cannot grow inside an environment that requires you to stay the same. It doesn't matter how strong you are. Constant exposure to the same energy will pull you back, slowly, silently, so you create space. Not because you hate them, because you respect your direction. This is calculated isolation. You stop showing up everywhere. You stop engaging in everything. You stop being available all the time. You reduce exposure, because exposure shapes behavior, and behavior shapes identity. If you stay in the same loop, you become the same person. So you step out, and it feels uncomfortable, really uncomfortable, because for the first time, you're not surrounded by familiarity. You're alone, with your thoughts, your goals, your direction. No validation, no instant feedback, no easy distraction. Just you. And most people run from this. They go back, because silence feels heavy, because isolation feels like loss, because no one is clapping, no one is watching. But this is where transformation happens, not in noise, in silence, because when you're alone, you stop performing, you stop adjusting, you stop filtering yourself, and for the first time, you see clearly what you actually want, not what fits the group, not what feels safe, what's real. And clarity requires friction, because growth is not comfortable. It's resistance. It's saying no when it's easier to say yes. It's staying disciplined when no one is watching. It's choosing progress over instant connection every single time. That friction builds you. It sharpens your thinking. It strengthens your decisions. It stabilizes your identity. Because now, you are no longer reacting. You are choosing. And here's the truth most people don't accept. You will be misunderstood. People will question you. Why are you distant? Why don't you come around anymore? You've changed. And they are right. You have, but they won't see it as growth. They'll see it as rejection. Because your absence reminds them of their own inaction. So they'll try to pull you back. Not aggressively, emotionally, through guilt, through nostalgia, through pressure. And this is where most people break. They go back, not because they want to, because they feel bad, because they don't want to hurt anyone. But understand this clearly. You are not responsible for maintaining comfort at the cost of your evolution. You are not obligated to stay the same for someone else's peace. Growth requires separation, not forever, but long enough to build something solid. Because if you don't, you'll keep getting pulled back again and again and again until you stop trying. That's how most people stay average, not because they lack potential, because they never created distance from what was holding them back. So you stay in the discomfort. You accept the silence. You embrace the friction, because you understand something now. Temporary isolation builds permanent clarity, and clarity is what allows you to move forward without hesitation, without guilt, without looking back. Because once you've built that foundation, you don't need constant validation anymore. You don't need approval. You don't need to fit in. You move differently, think differently, operate differently. And at that point, you're no longer trying to escape the cage. You've already stepped outside it. Now comes the final shift, designing your new social infrastructure. You don't just leave a system, you replace it. Because emptiness is dangerous. If you remove the old environment and don't build a new one, you will go back, not because it was right, because it was familiar. So now, you become intentional, not just about your habits, but about your people. Because people are not neutral. They either expand you or contain you. There is no middle ground. Every conversation, every interaction, Every environment is shaping you, quietly, constantly. So you ask a different question now. Not, who do I like being around? But, who forces me to grow? Because comfort is no longer your priority. Elevation is. You start seeking high-signal environments, places where ambition is normal, where discipline is expected, where growth is respected, where no one is impressed by talk, only by action. And at first, you will feel out of place. You will feel behind. You will feel small. Good. That's the point, because for the first time, you are in a room that doesn't adjust to you. It demands more focus, more effort, more awareness, and that pressure elevates you, because now you're not the standard, you're chasing one, and that changes everything. You stop relaxing into your identity. You start building it, brick by brick, decision by decision. Now look at the difference. Old environment, you shrink to belong. New environment, you expand to keep up. Old environment, you explain your ambition. New environment, you prove it. Old environment, growth feels uncomfortable. New environment, stagnation feels unbearable. That's the shift. You replace the comfort of familiarity with the friction of excellence, and over time, that friction becomes your normal. Now something else changes. Your standards, not just for yourself, for everyone around you. You stop tolerating low effort. You stop entertaining draining conversations. You stop investing in one-sided dynamics, not out of ego, out of alignment, because now you understand your direction, and anything that pulls you away from it becomes noise, and noise gets filtered. You become selective with your time, your energy, your presence. Not everyone gets access. Not everyone gets the same version of you, because access is earned through consistency, through respect, through alignment. And this is where most people misunderstand. They think you're becoming distant, cold, detached, but you're not. You're becoming precise. You're no longer available to everything. You're available to what matters. And that creates a new ecosystem, a different kind of circle, smaller but sharper. Less noise, more focus, less talk, more execution, less validation, more growth. And in that environment, you don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to shrink. You don't need to prove your ambition, because everyone there is already operating at that level. Now something powerful happens. Your growth accelerates, not because you changed again, because your environment finally matches your direction. And when those two align, momentum becomes inevitable. You move faster, think clearer, act sharper, because you're no longer fighting resistance. You're surrounded by reinforcement. And that's when you realize it was never just about discipline. It was about design. Your environment was shaping your ceiling. And now you've rebuilt it intentionally, strategically, ruthlessly. So ask yourself, are the people around you expanding your vision or shrinking it? Because that answer will determine everything. You don't rise alone, but you also don't rise with everyone. Choose carefully, because your circle is your future, and this time, you're the one designing it.